I'm delighted to be joined by Stephen Coleman OBE, no less, who's the CEO and founder of Codebase. And Codebase are obviously part of the Healthier Working Lives program. And I'm going to ask Stephen a few things about why he's involved and what he sees as the role of innovation in this whole program. So Stephen, maybe just a bit about you, about Codebase, and about innovation in Scotland generally.
Codebase, we're a tech ecosystem support organization. So we started in 2014 in Edinburgh. We've expanded to 3 core sites across Scotland, and then we built a partnership with Barclays Eagle Labs, where we provide startup mentorship support to all of their Eagle Lab innovation hubs across the UK. So we're active currently in 27 locations, and that's growing. We were just appointed as tech scaler, so the Scottish Government's new platform for technology across Scotland, specifically for tech startups. And that's a platform to deliver education and provide community support, peer networking, physical accommodation, and really it's a platform to try and support startup founders and staff through the journey of creating and growing a tech startup in Scotland. So we're very, very excited about that, and think there's a real opportunity to create a lot of connections and to ultimately help build more startups.
So tell me about innovation generally in Scotland, Stephen.
In Scotland, there are a lot of very smart people, and there have been some really great successes. But there's also a recognition that more can be done, and that frankly Scotland needs more startups. I think that's just a truism. I think that's true across the world. We're in a time of greater and greater uncertainty and faster iteration and adoption rates. So things are moving ever faster, and the kind of larger organizations, corporations, the state, academia, they're obviously important factors, very important factors in an ecosystem and an economy. But we also need new things. We need new fast-growing businesses to create the new jobs, to create the new wealth, and to solve the problems that are coming up. There's a massive opportunity. Scotland does punch above its weight in terms of technology at the moment, but certainly more can be done, and I'm really excited about our part to play in that.
I'd be fascinated to know why you, Codebase, have got involved in the Healthier Working Lives program, and what do you think Codebase will bring to the program? I
first kind of became aware of some of the problems in the care sector through one of the startups that started and grew in Codebase. They really opened my eyes to some of the large and growing issues in the care sector. Yeah. It wasn't a sector that I was familiar with before, but since becoming aware of that, I realised how many issues there are to solve, how the scale of the problem and the need for that problem to be solved. I don't think we're going to have the solution. I don't think anyone's going to have the single solution. But I think when networks combine, you can start to see those network effects, and we can start to create a culture where those solutions can actually flourish.
I mean, I'd be quite interested in where you think, and we're not, again, as you quite rightly say, we're not looking for the answer, but the general direction that you see the program might go in, and this where Codebase might be able to participate, the sort of areas that you can see might start to play a factor.
Yeah, well, one of the things that really excited me about the Healthier Working Lives approach was that it was about empowering people who are on the ground at the coalface, choose your metaphor, but people who actually are working in the care sector and are aware of the problems. There's a big mantra that we use in general across kind of tech startup land, which is fall in love with the problem, not the solution. And that's about, understanding, what the jobs to be done are, what problem is there to be solved, rather than, coming up with some, amazing technology that doesn't actually really achieve much. Having a large problem, a broad range of problems in a sector, there are significant negative issues about that, and that's something to be addressed. But that is also an opportunity where innovation can come in. And can potentially, help to alleviate some of those issues. As much about the individual technology solutions, it's also about the culture. It's about creating a culture of looking at problems, work out how modern technology, how startup thinking can be employed.
Are there any particular enterprises or entrepreneurs in this space that have caught your eye in the last period of time?
The first startup that I encountered in this space was called CareSourcer. They came into Codebase, Edinburgh, as two founders, and we watched them grow amazingly well and really very quickly. And CareSourcer, they positioned themselves as the right move for care. So connecting care home providers with care home seekers. And that the problem that they were trying to solve, as well as on the face of it, the sourcing of care, was also a deeper problem around NHS bed availability, and being able to seek care faster and better care or more appropriate care in a shorter period of time would ultimately free up a huge amount of NHS beds, which has a massive knock-on effect in a positive way. So I was really excited about that. But to be honest, I haven't seen a lot more in the space in the companies that we've been involved in. So that's partly why I wanted to be involved in this. Sure. CareSource has been going for a little while. They've had some great successes, but really there's a lot of space for a lot more activity and a lot more startups and a lot more solutions to be there.
You mentioned earlier about the approach that the Healthier Working Lives program is taking, this co-design approach where we're going to be working with the care staff, getting them involved. Actually, our belief is that there are probably a lot of entrepreneurs in the system, people already in the care system who've got great ideas, just don't know how to get them out. And in your experience, that sort of co-design approach, does it work? Does it have pitfalls? What are the things we need to avoid as we go through the process?
So absolutely, it can work. It's difficult. So startups in general are difficult, but there are playbooks. So if you're particularly in the world of tech product, there are playbooks that can help you smooth the journey, that can help you get to those next steps. There's a kind of culture of being open. It's not quite the world that it once was, of being super protective around IP and doing everything in secret. It's much more about working in the open, talking to people, learning from people, and ultimately that all accelerating your journey to build a solution. In the entrepreneur space, opportunities are there around creating that culture, around creating that understanding of startup playbooks. They're not applicable everywhere, certainly, but they, with an understanding of that world and of that process, that can really help to open people's eyes to possibilities of, hey, there is actually a way that I can solve this problem that I'm seeing everywhere, and that can be huge. But the challenges around it, I mean, you're talking essentially about a cultural shift, and that's huge. And you're also talking about working with large incumbent organizations that have, huge amounts of legacy processes and momentum around how things are currently done. An awful lot of smart people, and caring people that understand things need to be done differently and deeply want to do that. The task can seem so huge that it's insurmountable. But I think that's where there's an opportunity to say, hey, yes, the task can be huge, but if you look at it through these particular lenses, if you approach it in this particular way, you can achieve wins. You can make successes. You can eat away at that elephant in small bites.
I think it's really interesting, actually, Stephen, that you put your finger absolutely on the big challenge longer term is about changing culture. But I think it's like all these things, if you go in and say, we want to change your culture, people don't know where to start. And actually changing culture is about changing behaviors, about changing the way you do things, the way you speak about things, the way that you tell stories about things. And that's something that happens over time, but it can be managed, I think, if you do it properly.
One of the things that I've learned, so I've been on a journey myself through Codebase. It's been marked by immense amounts of naivety and risk taking and making lots of mistakes and learning a lot of hard lessons. One of the big lessons I learned was the power of language, the power of naming things, of having shared language and understanding of how to talk about problems. It feels, intuitively, it feels like that's not really that big a deal. Surely you can translate things or whatever, but in practice, having that shared understanding, that shared language, and then that feeding into having a shared culture is a superpower, to be honest. I think the Healthier Working Lives has the ability to create some solutions to some of those problems through the the education and the support, the co-building with people who are in the sector who know the problems to be solved, who know what needs to be done. I think that there's also a massive opportunity or massive value around just building that community, which is another part of that culture. So having that kind of cohort of people who have been on this Healthier Working Lives journey, who are interested in the space or want to learn and want to have a positive impact. I think that will be huge, and I see that only growing. From a Codebase point of view, that's something that really excites me. We're really all about education and community building. So building networks, supporting peer connections. So seeing that community start to come together with Healthier Working Lives in the care sector, I really think that's an opportunity to grow a really strong network. And to create those network effects that are so needed, so important. And from a Codebase point of view, connecting into that network and connecting it to our network, again, just really can help to be an amplifier.
Fantastic. Stephen, thank you very much indeed. I've really enjoyed this chat, and I'm looking forward to working with you as the program develops.
Absolutely. Thanks, John.